In this video, I'll briefly go through the three main reasons why the yes vote is going to fail at the upcoming Australian same-sex marriage postal vote survey thing. And this will come as a shock to many people because currently the yes side is predicted to win by bookmakers and by regular pundits, I suppose. And it's seen as fait accompli that the yes side will win because Australians supposedly majority in favour of gay marriage. I'm going to explain how that's not the case and why this vote will fail, and I'll try to do so as quickly as possible. Reason number one. There actually aren't as many Australians who feel passionately in favour of gay marriage as we have been led to believe. And I made a video about this a year ago, would you believe, which I'll link to in the info box below, but the crux of the matter is this. The people who are releasing the opinion polls invariably tend to have a direct connection to the very same lobby groups who are trying to get gay marriage passed. Well, what do you know? In any other field, this would be called a conflict of interest. But somehow in this arena, it's not seen that way. Although I do wonder how many people have taken the time to go and look into who are doing and releasing these opinion polls. Sometimes I feel as though I'm the only person who said, hold on, where are these opinion polls coming from? Let me go and look into it. Because I didn't have to look too far to find some obvious red flags and connections. Again, if you want to see what I came up with, go and check out that video. But the simple point here is this. We've been led to believe that there are all these Australians out there who support gay marriage, but this has been based on opinion polls, generally with sample sizes of 1,000 to 2,000 people, and oftentimes driven or run by people with direct ties to the pro-gay marriage lobby group. So once again, the first and main reason why this vote will fail for the yes side is because they don't have anywhere near as much support as we have all been led to believe. Reason number two. There's a lot of people out there who resent the fact that they can't even discuss this topic without being browbeaten. And people hate being browbeaten. There are a lot of people out there who will just go with the flow, and if they see that anyone who speaks out against this topic gets attacked, they'll actually mold their opinion to think that this is okay and they'll support whatever it is that is being promoted. But there's a lot of people out there who don't just go with the crowd. They won't vocalize or verbalize their opinions necessarily because they don't want to be browbeaten. Nobody wants that. But in their mind, they're thinking, I just want to express my opinion. How come when I express my opinion on something, I get told that I'm evil or a bigot or a homophobe? Why am I getting called names just for expressing an opinion? And this is going to be very hard for people who are pro-gay marriage to understand because in their mind it's like, well, they are bigots, they are homophobes. They deserve to be treated with complete disrespect because they're disrespecting us. And so for people who are on the yes side, they see this treatment as perfectly acceptable. But what they don't understand is that for the average person who doesn't feel that way, they can't stand being treated like this. They can't stand it, that they can't share their opinions on social media or even just in polite company when they're out and about of a weekend or after work without being shouted down. They hate that fear. And so because this vote is anonymous and it's postal, they're going to be able to express how they really feel. And so to a large extent, they're going to see their voting no as a way of pushing back against being browbeaten. The thing is, I fully understand that people who are pro-gay marriage, most of them are doing what they think is right. They think this is the best thing. They're like, well, we have to browbeat, we have to attack the people who are against gay marriage because they're evil. And they've really bought into this us versus them, black and white mentality of, well, we're on the side of good, we're on the side of righteousness, so it's okay for us to attack and disrespect anyone who disagrees because they're evil. I completely understand that mindset because when I was a younger person, I had a similar mindset, not just on this topic, but on a range of topics. And it's taken me a long time, I guess, to slowly come around to different opinions and positions. My point here simply being that the people who do attack the people who question gay marriage and are not necessarily for it, I don't agree with their behavior, but I can see where they're coming from. In their mind, gay marriage is a human right, and anyone who says otherwise deserves to be shouted down. But they don't realize they're doing their own side a big disservice. And a lot of people are going to be responding to how they've been attacked with this vote, with this postal survey. And reason number 3 is the amazing own goal that the yes vote kicked when they went and tried to attack that lady who appeared in a television ad. For those who may be outside of Australia, there was an ad that has been airing that features a range of parents, I suppose, and one of them says that she doesn't want gay marriage to be legalized because of what she thinks has happened in other countries. Well, some brainiac, decided to start a petition to get this woman sacked as a doctor. So they wanted this woman, for speaking out against gay marriage, to lose her career and livelihood that she'd spent years and years training for and practicing in. And they tried to justify it by saying, oh, well, if she's a doctor, then, she can't have these views on this thing or on that thing. And they tried to say it was some tangential issue. But the reality is these people had decided that it was okay, that because someone held a different political opinion to them, it was okay to try to get them fired from their job. And there are lots of people out there who their job is their security. It's the main thing they live for. They work 9 to 5 or 7 days a week or whatever the case might be. Work is such a fundamental part of their own life and how they provide for their family. The idea that they could lose their job or be targeted for their opinions, just for airing their opinions, even if they were pro-gay marriage, they would have seen this and thought, no, I don't support this at all. This is horrible. How could anyone do this? How could anyone try to get somebody sacked for holding a different political opinion? And of course, the yes camp will say, well, it's not a political opinion. It's a human rights opinion. If you don't respect human rights, then you deserve to lose your job. But again, they don't understand. They're doing their own cause a huge disservice because no sane, rational person could ever support that. And again, they might not vocalize it. They might not be writing about this on Facebook or elsewhere. But there are lots of people all around Australia right now who are saying, I can't wait to vote in this. And I'm going to vote no to try and do my bit to stop these people who would have me and the people I care about sacked from our jobs just for disagreeing with their political opinion. Even people who've never read George Orwell's 1984 and don't realise that this is Orwellian, what's happening. This idea of trying to get people sacked for having crime think, for thinking the wrong thoughts. It's straight out of George Orwell's book 1984. Even people who've never read that book know that there's something very, very wrong about this idea that you could be sacked from your job and from your livelihood and your career simply for having an opinion that goes against the PC crowd. And that's the third reason why this vote is going to fail. Many people are going to say, whether they're for or against the idea of so-called marriage equality, they're going to say, no, I'm not going to support this because if we can let them try to get people fired on this topic, what's it going to be in 5 years? What's it going to be in 10 years that we can get fired for not going with the so-called majority? So those are the 3 main reasons why this vote is going to fail. And as I said, right now, you can still, I don't condone gambling, but if you went to, say, Sportsbet right now, you'd find that the no vote is $2.20, last I checked. So they're the underdogs, but they are going to win. I'm very confident of that. And I'll be gone by the time this election happens. I'm quitting YouTube as of September 11. I'm taking 3 months off, 12 weeks, which I'm looking forward to. I've got other things that I need to focus on. So this election will take place while I'm gone, but this video will remain. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's cool. I'm wrong sometimes, but I suspect I'll be proven right. I do suspect this vote will come back as a no vote. Now, those of you who want this to come back as a no vote, don't think that this is the end of the matter. Far from it. As I've documented in other videos, children are being taught today in Australian schools that transgenderism is normal. So it doesn't matter if this vote comes back as a no. It doesn't matter. There's an entire cohort of children who are being taught right now that transgenderism is normal, let alone homosexuality. So it's only a matter of time until we have another vote on this issue or until the Greens and Labor get together and pass it through Parliament. It's only a matter of time. And not only that, if you look at things like, say, Muhammad Ali, his comments on Parkinson decades ago about only wanting to marry a woman of his own type. He only wanted to marry an African-American woman. He's now accused of being racist for those comments that he made decades ago, even though he made them only a few years after miscegenation had been legalized. So up until relatively recently prior to that video, it was seen by society at large wrong for black people to marry white people or vice versa. All Ali was doing was expressing that he would have a preference for women of his own type shortly after those laws had been changed. And yet now, if you were to ask the average young person they'd say that Ali's views were racist, discriminatory, because he says he only wants to be with a certain type of person. Think about this logically. If children are being taught today that transgenderism is normal and that there's many different genders and these sorts of things, how do you think people my age, 30 years old, our entire generation, are going to be viewed by the generations in 20 or 30 or 40 years' time? When they look back and say, what, our grandparents only slept, that the men only wanted to sleep with women and the women only wanted to sleep with men? Oh, that is so homophobic. And I know a lot of people have been programmed to respond to what I just said with, that's a slippery slope, that's a slippery slope. They've just been programmed to parrot that like parrots. If I were to show you a graph that showed declining sales and I was to say, look, year on year this company has declining sales, if we don't arrest this slide, then in 5 years' time or at some point in the forward estimates, this company is going to go bankrupt. No sane person would say, oh, that's a slippery slope, that's a slippery slope. You'd say it is a trend. A trend is not a slippery slope. This slippery slope thing is just something that good, well-meaning young people have been trained to parrot whenever somebody points out where we're headed. And where we are headed is very obvious, so obvious. It's incredible to me that more people can't see it. Up until relatively recently in human history, civilization history, whether you like this or not, it was considered wrong for black to marry white. Anyone who now says that they prefer, if they're black, to be with black or white to be with white is considered racist. Well, now that we have gay marriage passing around the world and eventually in Australia, now that we have transgenderism being taught as normal, now that these things are happening, you only need to apply logic to see where we're headed. And that is exactly where we're headed, regardless of the outcome of this election. If people keep sending their children to schools and letting the school decide what that child believes, and those schools are operated, funded, and the curriculum set by the state, and the state is on a clear direction that it has been for a long, long time, just as Aldous Huxley and George Orwell told us in books written 70 or 80 years ago, if these things are the case, then the future is almost inevitable. And the only people who can stop it are the regular people. And the reality is that the regular people cannot think that far ahead, which is exactly why they're being controlled the way that they are, which is exactly why the future is almost set in stone. This is my penultimate video here on YouTube, one more to make, which I'll be getting to later on this evening. If you're interested in seeing more of my work, just go along to johnthebond.com and check out the range of content that is there. Written articles, podcasts, videos, the whole lot. A true multimedia platform that I'm very proud of and that I've been working on for quite some time. To those of you who are for gay marriage or against gay marriage or have no opinion either way, to all of you, I wish you nothing but good luck and good tidings and best wishes. I don't see anybody as my enemy, and I think it's truly sad that so many people have allowed themselves to be trained to believe that another group of people are their enemies just because of their opinions on who can and can't get married. And I think in any civil, polite discourse, if you find yourself getting triggered or getting angry or trying to shout down other people just because they have a different opinion to you, then whether you realise it or not, you've been programmed. John the Bond on the 10th of September 2017. Until next time, you guys, take care of yourselves.